So in my last video, I talked about food stamps and how more than thousands of Americans are going to lose it for the month of November because of the government shutdown. That video got me more views than any of my other videos on this channel so far. And most of the comments were actually filled with "get a job," meaning that was the comment that I was getting. And I responded to a lot. I come from a household where my family, especially my father's side, would roast me. I'm from New York City, so I can't just let certain comments go. But then I realized that that wasn't the point of why I made the video in the first place. The video was to talk about groups of people who are currently on food stamps, who may see a shift in their life right now and may be unaware of that. People heard parts of my story of me saying how the women in my family have been on food stamps and how I'm currently on food stamps. And I guess for some reason, the automatic assumption is that I don't have a job and I don't want a job. I'm not sure when you guys got a peek into my life to be able to see my mother when she worked for the Bank of New York, or when she worked late night in warehouses, or when she worked over a decade at Spectrum. I'm not sure when you guys got the chance to see it. But working has always been a part of my family. Hustling has always been a part of my family. And I always had a family that made sure they did what they had to survive. I am African American. As far back as I know, my family's from America, down to when we came off forcibly off that boat. So I think a lot of people don't see what it takes to survive, and a lot of people like to rage comment. Since I was thinking about that, I actually wanted to tell you my story. It's not to defend myself, it's because I see no perfect opportunity than to explain how I got here in the first place. Although my previous videos, that's what I felt like I've been doing, perhaps it's been in a scattered way. If you don't know who I am, my name's Claudia. I've been creating content for over half a decade, inconsistently, I might add. And I was just diagnosed this year with bipolar disorder type 1. So I'm 27 years old. I've been trying to be an entrepreneur for I don't even know how long. And before that, I did have jobs. In fact, through that, I've had jobs. I've worked at Amazon. I graduated high school as a certified nursing assistant. I've worked at hospitals. I've worked at chicken joints. The point is, I've worked, and I've had my fair share of times as a stay-at-home wife, stay-at-home mother, and also as a single mother, just putting out the hours. 3 jobs, 2 jobs, volunteering with jobs. I've done it all. And I'm gonna be real with you guys. I'm not gonna be fake, and I'm not gonna speak about what I'm going through and what I have been through as a sugar-coated way. So yeah, I meant it when I say the women in my family have been on food stamps. That doesn't mean they haven't been working. That means they've had repeated times of being on their downfall, that there was no other choice except to go back to the government and say, help me. I thank God that they were able to be in a country where the government could help them. Because of my own work history and seeing the history of my family, work jobs, hustle, own businesses, all types of stuff, I learned quickly what I did not want my life to look like. And that is why I come online. That is why I tell my story in the first place. That is why I stress so much about building systems in your life and building systems for business. I seen chaos for so long that I craved order. And so the moment I found pieces of order, which was creating your own system in your life so that you can get further to your goals, that was the moment that I actually started to piece together where I wanted to be and how I was gonna get there. And so even though I'm repeating some of the same patterns in my family, and there's a great negative feeling to that, I don't allow that to continue to take me. You can't allow setbacks to continue to take you. Actually think of Wall Street Trapper in a podcast that he made, where he talked about thinking of your setbacks in life as retracements in the market. And that's exactly how you should see it. Allah tells us that he's going to test us. So I don't look at anything in my life as a boo-hoo story, but I also know my own life, and I know that throughout it, I haven't been a person who just didn't want to get a job, wanted to stay on food stamps, wanted to be a government. And I know those people. I grew up with those people. I've seen those people. When people say get a job to me in my comments, I think it's because there's nothing else better to say. And the first thing they think of is a black woman on food stamps who said her family was on food stamps. So you must be a bum. It's an automatic picture in their head. I think it's a refusal to see a woman who's working on progress. And I think it's a refusal to get out of what the definition of work is. Who said work was a 9 to 5? I've had all sorts of jobs. 9 to 5s and not. I've made sales in my own business. Who are you to say what work is or is not for somebody? Even for yourself. If we get out of the mindset of just getting a job, of just relying on food stamps, then we will depend on other systems that are in our own control, or at least more in our control than the ones that have the ability to go out. Because just as quickly as people can tell you you shouldn't be dependent on the government that much, that you let it starve you, people depend on their job just as much, that they'll let their employers starve them as they still work. In fact, people right now, because of the government shutdown, are losing their checks, not getting paid, and still having to go to work. And they have a job. I'm not sure where people get in their head besides just wanting to comment. I think it's important for any woman who's watching this, who may be in a similar space, to understand that it's okay to step back and assess your situation, your leverage in life, and what you have the ability to do and not do. I've started all sorts of businesses. I've had all sorts of jobs. I've had businesses where I've sold self-care products. I've sold my services as a marketing agency. I've created commercials for people. I've worked as a nursing assistant. I've worked in a chicken joint. I've worked in warehouses. I'm pretty multifaceted in my experiences at a young age in this country of America. And I hope to expand upon my experiences, and I hope to document that and share that with you guys, because I want you to get some type of benefit out of it. I want you to expand your mind, and I want you to reach for your goals, because every day I'm fighting to remember and choose what are mine. I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.